Hi girls! I hope that you are all doing fine. Welcome to the session 3 of the JLE National E-Conference, where we will be talking about the critical and the creative mindset. So in this session, you'll start to see the connection among all of the mindsets. That's why you really need to finish the seminar series. Before we officially start, I would like to introduce myself first. I am Tricia Canlas. You can call me Ate Tricia. I am an adult leader from Canlas City Council. And I will be your facilitator for today's session. Again, the critical and creative mindset. So just like your last week's facilitators, Ate Shelo and Ate Justine, I was also one of the representatives of the Girl Scouts of the Philippines to the Juliette Low Seminar last year, where I was assigned to attend the event at WAGGGGS Hall, England. So let me share with you my JLS journey. So I attended the JLS 2019 at WAGGGGS Hall, England, where I got the chance to meet these 24 equally empowered women who all shares the dream of creating a world that is a safe space for all genders. Together, we've learned about the WAGGGGS leadership model together with the different mindsets in order to achieve gender equality. We also had the chance to experience different fun activities in between our sessions. At the end of the event, we were all required to come up with our 100 Girls project plan that we will implement when we come back with our own organization, and that is what we are doing right now. All the 8 of us are sharing what we have learned in the JLS journey as part of the 100 Girls project. After the event, I was given the chance to explore United Kingdom with Marielle. Isa din siya sa mga participants ng Girl Scouts sa Juliette Low Seminar, pero siya na-assign siya sa London. So we decided to meet, and then together we have traveled from England to Scotland to London. Kaming dalawa lang. We became instant buddies na parang sisters na talaga kami during that time. Attending the Juliette Low Seminar is really a once-in-a-lifetime experience that any Girl Scout would really treasure. That's why I am really thankful to the Girl Scouts of the Philippines for choosing me as one of the representatives to that event and for giving me this wonderful opportunity to become empowered and for me to be able to share what I have learned with others, especially to our girls. So that is my Juliette Low Seminar experience. I hope with my story, marami sa inyong na-inspire to do more for the movement, to be more dedicated in serving the Girl Scouts of the Philippines, para one day kayo naman yung mabigyan ng chance ng Girl Scouts of the Philippines to attend the Juliette Low Seminar. So now, let's start with our agenda for today, and that is to study the critical and the creative mindset.
So now let us start discussing the points that we have under the critical and creative mindset. And we will start with identifying what is the difference between critical and creative thinking and how do they work together. Let's start with critical thinking. So the word critical came from the Greek word kritikos, meaning to judge. Now what are we going to judge? We're going to judge the evidences, the datas, and the information presented towards a problem, okay, or a difficulty. Now, to judge also includes your ability to identify whether a situation should be considered as priority or not. Okay, kasi hindi natin maiiwasan sometimes na sabay-sabay dumarating yung mga problems or sabay-sabay dumarating yung mga difficulties na kailangan nating i-deal. Now, critical thinking involves the ability that you can identify alin yung mga makakapaghintay, okay, and anong dapat mong unahin and iset as priority. Kasi merong mga problems na kapag hindi mo in-address right now, pwedeng magkaroon siya ng effect na mas marami pang problems in the future. Kumbaga, lalaki yung problem if hindi mo pa siya i-address right now. Okay, so that is the meaning of to judge. Next one, when we think critically, we ask the right questions. Remember that one. Again, when we think critically, we ask the right questions. These right questions will help us assess evidence and evaluate situations. Now, in order for us to do this, we need to step back for a while, okay, and then use our reflective mindset so that we will allow ourselves to look at all the angles first before we come up to a solution or a conclusion. Okay? Now, for this one, we need to analyze information carefully. We need to weigh up different evidences presented, just like what happens inside a courtroom. Diba? Inside the courtroom, the judge won't immediately give a decision whether a person is guilty or not. Hindi naman titignan lang niya, alam na niya if the person is guilty or not. It doesn't work that way. Diba? Now, for a judge to come up with a rightful decision or conclusion, evidences from both parties will be presented first, and then questioning would come with it. Diba? Now, based on the evidences presented and based on the answers provided by both parties, now the judge would be the one to evaluate these things before the judge would come up with the conclusion. It's the same thing that we should do whenever we need to come up with a decision in life, because it's a reminder that our decisions should always be anchored with enough basis, done with careful analysis. Okay? Kasi nagkakaroon siya ng strong foundation if it is done with careful analysis and you have a basis for doing or for coming up with that kind of solution. Okay, now you might say or you might ask, Ate, kanina mo pa sinasabi that we should ask the right questions when we are thinking critically. Now, how are we going to know if we are asking the right question? And what kind of questions should we ask? Now, I'll be sharing a video that talks about the 6 modes of questioning. So here is the video. Let's all watch it together.
People are thinking all the time. We plan to do things, we remember things that happen, we respond to questions, and we consider different options. We might call this simple thinking or fast thinking, but there are different ways of thinking, and another way is slow thinking or critical thinking. But what's the difference? Well, think about the last time you made a big, important purchase. Maybe when you bought a car or a large, expensive piece of technology, or even a house or place to live. When you did that, you had to weigh up all the various options. You sought advice from people you could trust and people with more expertise about the matter at hand than you had. You weighed up the strengths and weaknesses of the various options and finally made your decision based on an accumulation and investigation of the evidence. In this case, you were thinking critically. You'll be thinking like that now, and it will be very important for the work you will be doing. However, there's a big difference between thinking alone and thinking critically in the company of others. Some of the other people in the group will hold very different views to yours. Some will claim to know a great deal. You are also likely to hear presentations from external people or explore websites or read documents prepared by experts who claim to have expert knowledge. So how do you know if you are thinking critically? Here's one strategy for checking if you are. Let's call it the 6 modes of questioning. These 6 ways of asking questions are designed to help the group assess the information it will receive, to help the group think critically and make an informed decision together. The first point is about clarity. If a statement is vague or fuzzy, you can't tell if it's accurate or relevant. You might want to ask, can you elaborate? Can you give me an example? Can you be more specific? The second point is about accuracy. The statement can be clear but inaccurate. You might want to ask, is that really true? How can we verify that? Can you show me the data that supports your argument? The third point is about relevance. A statement can be clear, accurate, and precise, but it may be irrelevant to the issue. You'll ask, how is that related to this issue? Is it relevant for this location at this point in time? The fourth point is about depth. Statements that lack depth fail to deal with the complexities of the issue. And you'll ask, does that address the complexity of this issue? Can you give me more details in another context? Has your argument been peer-reviewed? The fifth point is about breadth. An argument that considers only one viewpoint but ignores other perspectives lacks breadth. You might want to ask, what other points of view might we be missing? What do others say about this? Who has reviewed this argument and offered a contrary viewpoint? And the last point, the sixth point, is about logic. If a combination of thoughts is mutually supporting and makes sense and the thinking is logical, you might want to ask, how is it possible to be both X and Y? Do those two statements contradict each other? You've said A, but also B, but both do not seem possible. So that's a very quick summary of what critical thinking is, and we hope you find it useful for your joint decision making today.
So it's very clear that when an idea, when a fact, or when an evidence is presented right in front of us, we should think of this 6 mode of questioning. Okay, we should always, number 1, consider its clarity. Okay, number 2, its accuracy. Number 3, its relevance. Number 4, its depth. Number 5, its breadth, and then its logic. Okay, so that we could really practice critical thinking effectively. Now, creative came from the Latin word creo, meaning to create or to make. Now, other people, sometimes you would hear them saying na, oh, ikaw na lang dyan, hindi kasi ako creative. Kasi sometimes they associate creative with being artistic. Okay, that is under creative, but being creative is not limited to just being artistic. Okay, with the definition that it has, it means to create or to make. So, creative thinking brings fresh perspective and sometimes unconventional solution to solve a problem or address a challenge. Parang from the existing ideas that you have to generate or to grow new ideas that would help you find a better solution to a problem. That's how creative thinking works. So when we think creatively, we are focused on exploring ideas and generating possibilities. Now, in order for us to do this, again, we should use our reflective mindset in order for us to brainstorm, for us to come up with fresh and new ideas, and for us to see the future possibilities or the future effects of the ideas that we have. Okay? Now, this is just a reminder that not because an idea is unique, it is already effective. Hindi lahat ng unique na idea or fresh idea ay suitable in solving a certain kind of problem. Okay? We also have to think of its effectiveness, okay, in solving the problem, just like this one. Diba? During the quarantine, ang daming nagreklamo na kasi hindi sila makapag-backride kasi nga we have to maintain physical distancing. But then, a lot of people nag-appeal sa government na sana i-allow sila na mag-backride kasi it's more efficient than riding the public transport. Okay? Now, ang sabi ng government is that, yes, we will allow backriding provided that the backriders shall have a physical distance or a physical barrier, a physical barrier that will maintain their distance from each other. Okay? Now, dun sa problem na yon, if we will think of it, nga naman, na-solve naman yung problem niya na merong barrier na nagde-divide ng distance nila from each other. But, hindi nila nakita yung mga unforeseen effects of having this barrier with the motorcycle driver and the backrider. Kasi after 2 weeks of running this rule, ang daming mga motorcycle groups ang nagsabi that it has more dangers, okay? Or it has a lot of negative effects to the driver and the backrider in the long run. Kasi first of all, hawak-hawak yung barrier, so pwedeng na-out of balance yung backrider, which will cause him or her to fall down and magkaroon ng injuries. Another is that since you are against the wind and then merong barrier na sumasalo lahat ng hangin, mahihirapan yung motorcycle rider to balance the motorcycle. Diba? Parang mas marami siyang negative effects than the positive effects. So this is one proof that before we come up with a solution or before we implement the idea that we have to check all the possible outcomes first. Okay, tignan muna natin anong mga magiging problem, kung anong mga possible na maging problema nito in the long run. Okay? Pero meron naman mga cases wherein you have one problem pero marami talaga siyang solutions on how to solve it. Just like for example, this one. Okay? This guy is having a problem with the odor of the cat poop. Okay? So there are possible solutions to this one. Like for example, pwedeng you could come up with this kind of formula wherein mas may enhance ng cat litter yung smell ng poop ng cat. You could also come up with an idea na cat school. Okay? Tuturuan mo yung cat paano gamitin ang toilet so that it's easier for you to dispose of the cat waste. Then, you could also come up with this idea. Diba? Pwede din naman na i-diaper mo na lang yung cat mo. So, all of these three ay could solve the problem. Diba? Pero, alin yung pinaka-effective? Kung gusto mo ng pinaka-mabilis na paraan, ay the fastest way could be this one, yung paggamit ng cat diaper. Okay? Kasi nga naman, palitan mo na lang siya and then itapon, then you already get rid of your problem. But then, if you will come to think in the long run, unang-una, mapapamahal kasi you will keep on buying diapers. Para ka nagkaroon ng baby for a lifetime. Papalitan mo siya ng papalitan ng diaper. Second one, yung idea is not good for the environment. Diba? Kasi most of the time, yung ginagamit na diapers are disposable and it takes thousands of years before siya matunaw. Diba? So, if we will think of this solution, yung cat diaper, no siya if we will think of longer effects. So, we will proceed with the two other options na kung titignan mo in the long run, halimbawa, itong cat school, diba? After mo siyang i-enroll sa cat school, it may take some time before siya matuto. Pero, pag na-acquire na ng cat yung skill na yun, right, you don't need to buy anything anymore. Diba? So, based on these three, pare-pares na lang masasolve nila yung problem, but then they all have their pros and cons. The same thing when we have our ideas. Okay? Maaaring lahat ng ideas natin could solve the problem, but then we should always evaluate which one is the most effective one. Okay? So now that we know the difference between the critical and the creative thinking, let's now proceed to the importance of critical and creative thinking in leadership. So a leader with critical thinking skills can understand the logical connection between ideas. So naiintindihan mo why things are happening. Naiintindihan mo din na ano yung possible outcome nitong action na to. Next one, identify the relevance of information and arguments kasi nga you know how to question correctly or you know how to ask questions correctly. Detect inconsistencies or mistakes in reasoning and make proper decisions. Now, for you to become a leader with a good critical thinking skills, you need to do these two things. Number one is you need to have an open mind. So to have an open mind means that we allow ourselves to listen to what other people might say. Kasi nga baka meron tayong isang na-miss na possible outcome. So yung opinion nila makakapagpa-improve dun sa naisip natin na solution. Another is that when we listen to our team members, pag binibigyan natin sila ng chance na makapagbigay ng opinion, makapag-generate ng ideas, we build the sense of trust within the team. Kasi if you are the type of leader na hindi nakikinig or hindi hinihingi yung opinion nila every time you would come up with a decision, the next time na itatap mo sila for help at magtatanong ka ng opinion nila, they would already hesitate. Okay, kahit pa alam na nila kung anong sagot dun sa tanong mo or kahit pa alam nila kung anong magandang solution dun sa problem na yon, dahil nga hindi sila nasanay dun sa culture na lagi mo silang tinatanong or binibigyan ng chance to speak out what is on their mind, they might hesitate. Okay, so always keep an open mind when it comes to the ideas or the opinions of others when it comes on how to solve the problem or the issue. Okay, do not pressure yourself na as a leader, sa'yo lahat manggagaling lahat ng ideas. Hindi po. Allow yourself to have an open mind where you listen, okay, and analyze the information given by other people as well. Next one is you need to question assumptions. Okay? An image that you can hear, paano mo nasabi? Di ba nga, critical thinking, we need to ask the right questions. Pag tayo mag-assume kaagad how things would turn out, okay, baka kasi lagi tayo nag-iisip ng, ay alam ko na, baka ganito lang yan in the end. Okay? Ay baka ganito lang yung mangyari. Kasi if we won't be having enough basis for our decisions, mawawalan ng foundation yung idea. Kumbaga wala siyang evidences na magsusupport sa kanya. And then, Another is that when we try to question other people's idea, we should also be mindful of the tone of our questioning. Kasi merong ibang tao na the way they question or the way they ask other people, medyo intimidating. Yung parang feel mo hindi valid yung sinabi mo. Okay, so as a leader, we should also be mindful of the tone, okay, of our manner of questioning. Kasi sometimes the tone of question would lead other members not to speak anymore. Kasi parang ang akala nila is, yun nga, tinatry mong i-intimidate sila. So try to make your tone welcoming. Yung parang alam nila na you are just really interested with their idea. Okay? Now, for creative naman, for creative thinking, being a creative leader means finding imaginative ideas and solutions, being open to divergent thinking. What is divergent thinking? Meaning na hindi ka nagpo-focus sa iisang outcome lang. You also tend to see what could be the other possible outcomes to the solution that you are planning. Exploring how things could work better. Like for example, meron akong idea and then yung member mo meron din idea. What if you would get one part of mine, okay, one part of my idea and then one part of his or her idea and then combine it together? Baka yun talaga yung makakapag-solve ng problem. Baka yun yung maging mas effective na solution. Okay? Instead of how things have always worked. So we have to be reminded that our members could also be creative in a different way. Gaya nga nung sinabi ko kanina, hindi naman nalilimit ang pagiging creative into being artistic lang. Okay? Now, as a leader, you have to be mindful that there are different ways to being creative. And then, tignan mo yung mga members mo if anong kind ng creativity ang meron sila so that you know who to tap when you need something. So here's a video that will tell us the different kinds of creativity.
We all have a creative genius inside of us. Just like Howard Gardner's multiple intelligence theory, creativity is also measured in many unique ways. This means that the creative process works differently for everyone. Are you wondering what yours looks like? Here are the 5 types of creative thinkers. 1. The lateral thinker. This is probably the most common type people think of when they first hear the word creativity. Lateral thinkers think outside the box, generating new ideas instead of working with what's already familiar. Lateral thinking is great for problem solving, innovations, and inventions. People who identify with this type are usually not afraid to leave traditions behind in order to play with new patterns. 2. The inspirational thinker. Do random ideas ever just come to you suddenly? This is called inspirational thinking. Inspirational thinking is usually spontaneous, quick, and comes out of nowhere. Researchers call these breakthroughs higher creativity. Often, people who come up with inspiring ideas see them in dreams first, but may also experience this while being awake. Throughout this creative process, the individual undergoes a life-changing revelation that amplifies their skills and talents to a whole nother level. 3. The divergent thinker. American psychologist J.P. Guilford coined the terms divergent thinking and convergent thinking. Guilford proposed that these 2 types of thinking are the opposite of one another. Whereas convergent thinking entails concentrating on only one idea or a single solution, divergent thinking involves a more flexible approach where many solutions and options are explored. People who identify as divergent thinkers tend to brainstorm often and enjoy taking risks in order to explore other alternatives. 4. The systematic thinker. Do you have a knack for connecting the dots? People who identify as systematic thinkers are good at understanding how things are related to one another when they look at systems. Systematic thinking is often used in corporate settings when a hierarchy is created. This type of thinker is often considered a managerial genius because they're great at organizing and setting rules and regulations for operations to run smoothly. 5. The aesthetical thinker. Aesthetical thinking involves producing or creating things that are pleasing to our senses. The individual may have strong visual and spatial skills, choosing to delve into careers such as architecture, painting, and drawing. Aesthetical thinkers also thrive in the music industry where they are skilled at creating rhythms, tempos, and melodies that all blend harmoniously together. Writers, scientists, and mathematicians all belong under this creative branch as well, when they have a talent for creating unique plot lines, formulas, and equations. At Psych2Go, we have many aesthetical thinkers like our animators, scriptwriters, and narrators who work hard every day to create the best content just for you. Which type of creative thinker are you? Please share your thoughts with us below.
Okay, so just like the last question stated on the video, which type of creative thinker are you? Please comment down below. And what do you think is the reason why you what do you think is the reason why you fall under that type of creative thinker? Comment nyo lang sa baba. I would be reading your responses. Yan, comment nyo lang dyan. And so while others are still commenting down below which type of creative thinker they think they are, so I would just like to remind or to give a brief recap of why we need to practice this mindset. So first of all, practicing critical and creative thinking helps us understand where people are coming from, their assumptions, and the data that they are using. Okay, it helps us understand why things happen because we analyze things first before coming up to a solution or a conclusion. This mindset also allows us to explore complex situations and make decisions. It also allows us to actively analyze, understand, and learn from data. It also encourages ourselves to innovate and take informed tasks. But then, how do we practice this mindset? That's our next topic. Here are some ways on how you could practice the critical and the creative mindset. So first of all is systematically question what you think you know. Okay? Like for example, you may ask, saan mo ba galing yung info na yon? Reliable ba yung naging source mo ng information or ng data? Consistent ba? Okay? Like for example kasi, merong problem and then we would say, ay, ganito yan masasolve kasi na-experience na nito yan and then ganitong ginamit niyang work. May possibility ba na yung result na nakuha nung kakilala mo ay maging iba sa result na pwede kong makuha? Just like, di ba, sa paggamit ng skincare, di ba, there are skincare na mag-work sa ibang tao pero sa'yo hindi. Okay? You have to check the consistency first. Okay, pare-parehas ba yung magiging effect niya sa lahat ng tao for you to easily conclude na magiging okay nga yung outcome niya? Okay, questionin mo muna yung idea before using it as a solution or a judgment. Okay, next one. Try to get as deep as possible when trying to understand an issue. Going back to the video that we had a while ago, you can use the 6th mode of questioning para magkaroon ka ng clear version nung idea. Okay? Next one is represent ideas and processes virtually. You can draw sketches, you can have free writing, you can use maps, you can use charts for you to see the connections easily para mas madali mo ring matrace what could be the possible outcome of the idea that you have. And then, next one, ito na-discuss na to last Saturday, keep track of your ideas in your leadership journal. Sometimes kasi, yung mga creative ideas natin, bigla na lang nagpa-pop up out of nowhere. So, that's the importance of keeping a journal. You may write it down immediately para hindi mawala yung thought. Okay? And then the last one is, you can also discuss your ideas with friends or family kasi we get more challenge when our mind or idea is also being challenged. So with their opinion and with their questions to our ideas, mas napoprove natin yung validity ng ginawa nating decision or idea. Sometimes nakaka-help din yun for us to come up with the most efficient and effective solution to a problem. Now, that is what is the critical and the creative mindset is all about. Now, this is for your take-home activity. Okay, it is entitled Puso, Isip, at Gawa. So here is the mechanics. So be with a buddy, try to be buddies with someone whom you don't know yet. And kung pwede po sana, wag yung mga ka-counsel para you'll get to know other people as well. So take this time to be friends with others. Yan. So, individually, think of a challenge you've faced or a difficult decision you had to make and write it down on a piece of paper. Hindi naman po kailangan na recently lang siyang nangyari. Nasa sa inyo po yun if anong decision or problem na napagdaanan na ninyo yung i-identify nyo dyan. And then third, you and your partner will switch papers. So maybe you can take a picture of it and then send it to each other. So you will try to solve the challenge or the difficult decision faced by your partner by using the following. So ang mangyayari is that if you will be the one to face that kind of problem or to face that kind of difficult decision to make, ano yung gagamitin mo in order to solve that problem? Are you going to use letter A, your head, wherein you will be using an objective factor, reasonable or rational response lang, kumbaga logical? Are you going to use your heart, wherein you use your feelings and emotional dimensions in solving a problem? Or you're going to use your hand, wherein you will be offering a form of help to your partner in solving that kind of problem? Okay? So after choosing which one are you going to use in order to solve the problem, after giving your responses to each other, you will be discussing which among the three ways did you find easier in solving the problem. So draw the symbol in a piece of paper. In the middle of the symbol, write a short explanation why you think that it is easier to use that aspect in solving a problem. So meron tayo again, the puso, the isip, which is represented by the brain, and then the gawa, which is represented by our hands. So pipili kayo ng isa dun sa tatlo, and then in the middle, you will draw the symbol, and then in the middle of the symbol, you will explain bakit sa tingin mo etong aspect na to yung dapat ginagamit natin in trying to solve a problem. Bakit kailangan yung head or yung isip? Bakit kailangan yung heart or bakit kailangan yung hand? Now, just a reminder, there are no right or wrong answers to this question or to this activity. We just wanted to know your opinion kung alin yung mas dapat gamitin natin in solving a problem. Puso ba? Isip ba? O gawa? Okay? And then, after doing the activity, take a photo of your output and post it on your Facebook account. Don't forget to use the hashtags GSP Empowers and GSP Puso Isip at Gawa so that we could easily monitor your outputs. Now, let's proceed to the post-evaluation question. For this one, you can see it with your Google Forms later. So let's proceed with the questions for learning journal. So please write them down or you can take a screenshot so that you can do them in your learning journal. So for this session, the questions that you need to answer are the following. In what ways you can encourage others to use their critical thinking mindset to come up with innovative ideas? Then the second question is, how do we identify which problem should we consider as priority? So those are your two questions for your learning journal. So that's it. That's the end of the session.
That's the end of our session for today. I hope marami kayong natutunan about critical and creative mindset. Sana magamit nyo itong skills na to when it comes to leading into your own troops or into your own communities. Don't forget to answer the post-evaluation after this session. Again, I would like to thank everyone for attending our session for today. I hope to see you all again tomorrow for our session 4. Bye!